I want to kind of talk to you about creating a life that you want. Now, I'm not going to talk to you about manifestation today, but I am going to talk to you about something slightly different. You might see my dog moving in the background, so if you do, that's why. There he is, kind of laying across the bed right there. This is a subject that seems to be really difficult for a lot of people, but life is the life. Your life is the life that you choose. And a lot of people say, I didn't choose this or I didn't choose that. And I'm like, in some levels you did. So let's just kind of talk about that, and let's not get into the itty bitty nitty gritty kind of thing. And let's just talk about some very, very simple basics. Okay. So the basics is that how you handle the situations in your life is what creates the after effect. Okay. So let's say that your husband is in a really bad mood and he comes home and he's all like in a terror and goes, you forgot to shut the garage door. And, and just in a really, but it's not about you. It's about the fact that his, some employees weren't doing their work and he had to double up on it, or his boss laid into him, or something didn't work out the way that he wanted it. And so he comes home in a really shitty mood and he's basically taking it out on you. And so how that is going to play out is how you respond to that. So women, as women, being a nurturing kind of person, we have a tendency of A, taking it personally, or B, trying to fix it. And we want to love them into a space where they're going to, oh, well, if I love him enough, blah, blah, blah. And then when he doesn't come back and nurture us and take care of us, then we start feeling like, oh, something's wrong with me and all this sort of stuff. He's in a bad mood and, he's just a horrible person. I'm like, look, is it fair that he can't have a bad mood? I have a client that has a tendency of freaking out over things and will drop stuff, slam doors, break things and everything over something minor. And then she expects him to just roll over and be okay with her emotions. And he usually is. He usually comes in and coddles her later or something, or holds her or whatever after he's kind of like calmed down. But when he has a bad mood, it upsets her. Like if he just comes in and says, hey, you need to clean the bedroom, it's a little out of control, then she goes straight into, okay, well, you didn't clean up the stuff on the desk. The way that you handle situations, like a situation like that is not going to go well. That's like comparing and saying, well, you're bad too. Why would you get on to me? So how you handle situations is what's going to create your life. So, for instance, in a situation like that, you would say, you know what, you're right. I do need to get on that. And I'll do that on Saturday. And while I'm doing it on Saturday, since we both have some free time, why don't you all also go and work on the desk? And see, in situations like that, you're sort of like, yeah, I'm affirming that this is a problem. And then it just gets dropped. I mean, he's like, oh, okay. And then he doesn't have anything to be upset with you. A lot of times when men are in bad moods, they'll come in and they'll like, okay, well, that didn't get her, so I'm going to do something else, you didn't take the trash out. And she's like, you know what? And if you handle it like this, you know what? I'll do that right now. And now all of a sudden you're not giving him any fuel, okay? You're not giving him something to hold on to get mad at. So you're creating this more like, everything's okay, blah, blah, blah. So when he sits down and you see that he's in a better space, then you approach him and you say, You seem like you're in a bad mood. Did things go badly at work today? You want to talk about it? Now, a lot of times when I approach Shane about stuff like that, that's how I do it. If I see that he's in a raunchy mood or something, I'm like, oh shit, something go on at work? Are you okay? You want to talk about it? What happened? And then it deflects from me, because if I just let him run around stomping and whatever because he's had a bad day, and then suddenly it's, I didn't shut the garage door, I didn't take out the trash or whatever, and and those are you're deflecting from the problem. You want to make sure that as a partner you're making sure that you're there for them. So in that aspect, that is, you can create a more positive relationship, and you can make a relationship a whole lot better just by changing the way you respond to things. So let's look at something completely different. I have another client who had a series of negative events that happened to her, and this actually created a lack of self-confidence. And so we had to start really building that up. We had to erase the stories that she was telling herself that weren't true, like she's unlovable, unworthy, all kinds of stuff like that. And so when we started working on that, and she's like, okay, that is a story I'm telling myself. And we started working on changing and reprogramming her thought process. As she started to change, suddenly she gets a promotion. Her boss is like, bringing her in and being the speaker in conferences. It's like she's getting like kudos in all these meetings, like, oh, she did this, blah, 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 acknowledge her. And she's like, whoa, this new attitude, this new positive thing that I'm projecting is causing a lot of positive things to happen in my life. So suddenly I was just talking to her today, and she said she went out to a bar and with some kind of group thing event, and she said that she was just going to sit at the bar and just kind of wait to be approached. And she said she went in, she was very confident, and she brought her friend with her, and she was feeling really good. And suddenly all these men started approaching her, and she's like, wow, this is good, men are approaching me, and that's awesome. And I said, okay, so let's back it up. When you were in the dark space, when you were in the negative space, when you did the exact same thing, looking exactly the same, makeup looked the same, your weight was the same, your dress size was the same, everything was the same, and you went into a bar and you sat over there at the bar, did men approach you? And she goes, absolutely not. So I started to dwell on the fact that it was the way I looked. I wasn't pretty enough. I wasn't worthy enough. Something was wrong with me. And I was like, okay, so your attitude, just your energy overall, your projection of your energy overall changed the reaction of people. And all you did was sit. And she's like, absolutely. So it's amazing how, so you can see him in the background. It's amazing how just changing your reactions to things, changing your overall perception of life, the way that you present yourself energetically. So let's kind of talk about what that looks like. I want you to take a second, and I want you to stand up. Okay. Now, when you're standing up, I want you to kind of walk across the room, and I want you to walk like this, with your, kind of like your head sort of like that, and shoulders down, and just walk for a second. Now, you can pause the video if you want and just do this little exercise. Now, as you walk across the room and you do that, just really feel it. Just feel what it feels like to do that. Now, what happens is you feel heavy, don't you? You kind of almost feel down. You almost feel like, blah. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to change your physiology, okay? I want you to hold your head up, head back, shoulders back, and I want you to now walk just for a few minutes down the hallway, feeling this. You feel uplifted, almost like an energy flow starts to happen, okay? So let's just talk about energy for a second. So energy flows back and forth in your body. Okay? If you're like this, it creates stagnance of energy. Okay? If you're like this, you're open to energy. Okay? So just your actions, how you approach your life, even your physicality can change what's going on. So you become more approachable. You can sit at the bar and you're all like, all right, so I'm gonna have a drink, and you're looking confident, you're sitting up straight, and you're like, like this. And men are like, whew, coming to you. But you're like at a bar and you're like, your face, look at my face. Nobody likes me. Nobody's going to approach me. God, I just want to get out of here. And it shows all over your face, right? Who's going to approach that? You're not approachable. Nobody's going to want that. So it becomes a self-fulfilled prophecy. So everything that you do, everything that you think, the way that you think subconsciously, and the way that you act based on those things is going to be a self-fulfilled prophecy. And so you start to create your own life based on that. You are creating your own life by the reactions that you have to the situations that happen. You get a flat tire, you get pissed off, you come home, you're in a bad mood, then you yell at your wife, and then you yell at your kids, and then everybody's screaming and stuff, and then you're like, I hate my life. Really? Okay, everybody gets flat tires. Take a couple of deep breaths. I don't know how many times I've had a flat tire. I've ran out of gas. I've had car accidents. I mean, all kinds of stuff has happened, okay? But you're like, it's over. Now I got to handle it. Yes, it caused me to be late, but I'm okay. The other day, I had like 20 things to do in the morning, and I had a couple of errands I had to run. I had to go over here, I had to go over there, I had to go to the office, I had to go to the bank. There was like all this stuff that I had to do, and I had to do it that day. And yet I had to be at work at a certain time, and I started feeling that adrenaline rush, and I started like, okay, it started like coming up on me. And then I walk in the door and the client says, how are you doing? I'm like, I didn't think I was going to get here in time, but I did. She goes, you did? And I go, I did. She goes, what happened? I said, well, I had this and this and this and this to do. And so I was, I was pressured against time. And she's like, oh, that's no big deal. And I'm like, yeah, I know, I'm here. And she goes, you are here. And I go, I am here. And I smiled and she smiled, and that was it. And I'm like, I'm good. Now let's say that I ran late. That's happened before. I've gotten into traffic, and I was going into the office. I call my client and I say, look, I am so sorry, but I'm sitting in traffic. I will be there as soon as I can. And when I got there, we got started immediately, and it was done. It was like I became present in the moment. I stopped dwelling on the fact there was traffic or that I was late, and I apologized and explained it, and that was it. It's gone. It's over with. Okay? So now I became present in that moment with my client and not anything else. So what I'm saying to you is how you respond to the things that happen in your life create the atmosphere that you're living in. So if somebody is constantly telling you that there's something wrong with you, there's something bad about you, and you're like, you're right, there is, then you're going to create more bad stuff. You're going to believe it. You're going to believe you're a bad person. You're going to believe you're horrible. You're going to believe this. You're going to believe that. Da, 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 da. And then you're going to actually start manifesting things subconsciously, internally, externally, blah, 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 and everything's going to start falling apart. And so you have to kind of take a couple of deep breaths here and realize that where is this person coming from, okay? Is this normal behavior? That's the first question. And the other thing is possibly they're having a bad day. Now, when I was telling you about the client earlier, that he would say something and she would go on a tizzy, But if she said something or got upset, she expected him to be accepting. People, the way that I explained it to her was like this. I said, it's okay for you to have emotions, but it's not okay for him. And that's not fair. We have to learn to be more accepting of people in general and understand that we're all humans, okay? And I'm going to get upset about something because somebody wronged me in a really bad way. And I'm going to come home and I'm going to go, oh my God, you wouldn't believe what happened. And I'm going to tell Shane and he's going to be, yeah, I would be upset too. But you know what? We're just going to deal with it and this is what's going to happen. And I'm like, okay. And I'll let it go. Boom. That's it. He projected an energy on me that calmed me down, that brought me into the right space, okay? And vice versa. He comes home, he's in a bad mood, something's going on. I'm like, what's going on? You seem like, did you have a stressful day? And he's like, oh my God, this happened, blah, blah, blah. And instead of me, like, being, like, making it all about me, and, like, you're not giving me attention, you're always in a bad mood, blah, blah, blah. You know, I get more attention when I'm supportive, okay? So if I'm sitting here and I go, what happened? And he starts telling me, I'm like, oh my God. Okay. And then what? And then he tells me and I'm like, okay. And I let him talk. And then next thing you know, he's changed the subject and he's talking about something completely different, that football or something, you know? I mean, and because I let him air it out, I acknowledged his emotions. And next thing you know, we're on the sofa cuddling. Now, why did that happen? I was able to get what I wanted. I was able to create the environment I wanted by accepting the situation at hand. Okay? The way for you to feel empowered is by not allowing the outside circumstances to affect you. It has nothing to do with you. Life happens. Shit happens, you know? I had somebody ask me the other day. It was funny. She feels like she's constantly being attacked. And she said, what do I do about this? And I said, well, you're always going to be attacked. And she goes, no. So I said, okay. So I had rocks. I like doing metaphoric things. So I took 5 black rocks and threw them on the floor. And I took 5 crystals and I threw them on the floor and I kind of mixed them up together. And I said, this is your life. You have 5 bad things. You have 5 good things. Now, what are you going to focus on? She goes, you don't understand. And I go, okay, hold on. Let's try this a different way. So I put a black rock in her hand and put a white rock in her hand. And I said, okay, now focus on one at the same time. She goes, well, this is hard. And I go, because the black rock represents negativity, really bad stuff that's happened to you. The white rock focuses on all the things you're grateful and the happy things in your life. So I want you to focus on both. I want you to think about the negative things and the positive things in your life. She goes, well, I can't. And I said, exactly. You get to choose which one you want to focus on. She's like, but how do I stop all this? I want this all to stop. I don't want to be impacted by this. It affects me emotionally, mentally, spiritually. She goes, it's just one thing after another after another. These people keep on attacking me. And I'm like, that's always going to happen. She goes, no. I don't want that to happen. And I said, okay, let's go back to this again. Which one are you going to focus on? I said, when you focus on this positive thing in your life, these positive things, and you focus on the love in your life and the love you're giving and the loving energy, that energy starts to magnify. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then boom, somebody throws a rock at you. It didn't affect you. They can just sit there and throw them, and you're just like, I think I'm going to go have a cafe latte. It doesn't affect you if you're in the right state of mind, okay? If you're focusing on good things, it's like, why do I want to put my energy onto that negative stuff, you know? And you become so empowered and so powerful because you're allowing the brightest and the deepest and the most loving part of yourself become so strong and so powerful. Now, how do you do that? People say, well, how do I get there when all these bad things are happening to me? Well, okay, we're going to go back to the last video. Pray, meditate, pray, meditate, pray, meditate, okay? You need to pray and you need to meditate, okay? Meditation. Here's the meditation I want you to do. I want you to sit there. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to imagine that you are engulfed in the middle of this beautiful, wonderful light that is going through every cell in your body and every orbis and everything. And it's going inside of your body. It's filling you up. And it's nothing but love, pure, understanding love, source, prime, divine energy. Sit in that. Let it engulf you. Let it take you. Let it control you. Let it overpower you. Because that's who you were born with. Okay? That's who you were when you were born. You see, you didn't learn how to be emotional, unworthy, self-sabotaging, depressed, anxious. You weren't born that way. You were born this child that was like, oh yeah, I'm going to get out there. The first time you decided to get up and walk, you weren't like, oh, I fall down. I'm never going to walk again. That's how you are as an adult. But as a child, you weren't like that. You were like, get up and do it again. Get up and do it again until you mastered it. Okay? So I'm telling you, go back to that baby inside of you that had courage and love and was ready to conquer the world, and find that within yourself, okay? I want you to find it inside of yourself, and I want you to find that courage, and I want you to conquer it, and I want you to empower yourself, and I want you to sit there in meditation and feel that love channeling through you, loving you, absorbing you, and become that love. And when you become that strong, and when you become that love, guess what's going to happen? Somebody's going to throw something at you, and it's going to be like a tennis ball that bounces off the wall. You're going to be like, oh, I don't want to focus on that one. This to focus on. So going back to the girl that I was telling you about that went to the bar, and all the guys were coming up to her. She said, yeah, I had this little circumstance happen with this woman that was kind of catty and stuff. You know, she goes, but and I go, whoa, hold on. Tell me about that. And she goes on to tell me the story about how this girl was being kind of rude, and she sort of bumped into her, and then she sort of pushed her out of her way, and she was being kind of catty, and she said, and maybe a while back, I would have really got my feelings hurt. I really got upset. It's like, why is this woman being so rude to me? She goes, but, I was just like, why do I want to put energy into that? That's nothing. I mean, that's her shit, and that's her, and it's not me. It has nothing to do with me. It's kind of like you go outside and there's mosquitoes. What do? You go inside. Simple. Or out there and it starts raining, what do? You go inside. Just redirect yourself, okay? Put yourself in a situation that's more comfortable and move away from it. And perhaps that comfortable place is maybe going and taking a long bath. Have a glass of wine. Put a bubble bath in. Light some candles. Put that serenity back in you and just feel, yeah, I feel good. Or sit back and go lay down on your bed and get all the comfy pillows all ready and read a nice book. Get yourself in the right state. Or just take 5 minutes, go sit on the toilet, close your eyes, take long deep breaths, just imagine that light coming through you, and redirect that state of mind, okay? As long as you focus on negative things are going to happen, period, bottom line. If you get offensive and upset every single time somebody does something, your life is always going to be challenging. You're going to always feel like people are attacking you. You're going to always feel like something's happening to you, and that's the way your life is going to be. So the bottom line is, you can choose how you react. And by your reactions, you create your life. And how you choose to react is the life that you're going to live. It will define you. So, here's a little food for thought. Be careful what you think about, because those thoughts become words. Be careful what you say, because those words become actions. Be careful how you act, because those actions become your character. And that character defines your life. This is Michelle Thompson, and you have an absolutely blessed day. Bye.